Hello, this is a little tattoo time lapse. We're looking at all of the materials I'm using. We got needles, a needle holder, and some other stuff there. My consumables I put in a little plastic bag you just saw me taking apart. So I have little kits. This is me cleaning this and prepping the space. I wipe down the surface. I lay out my dental sheet. I'm putting some hustle butter down, and a little trick is you can use hustle butter to glue your caps. That's what I was just filling up. Then there's the ink, and I use some sterile water. I also poured out a little bit of Stencil Stuff, and here I am prepping the needle holder. I have a little needle holder, and my needles have the little loop at the end. And here's the stencil. Using the Stencil Stuff. The key with kind of the safety piece is, getting all your stuff out onto the surface before you begin. And here's the stencil drying, and I'm starting the tattoo now. And you can see that I put a coat of Stencil Stuff. But like I was saying, is you want to get all of the material you're going to use out of your reservoirs onto the sheet, onto your work surface. And then once you that's your contaminated surface. And once you have that all out, you never go back into your reservoirs, and that prevents cross-contamination. And of course you can see that I'm wrapping up things in with saran wrap to protect them, and I'll spray them down with a super duper germicide called maticide. So what you're seeing now is me going through everything and just outlining. I like to get the outlines in first before getting into any of the shading and stuff like that. So just getting the outlines, and I typically do this so that I have the piece mostly on my skin but in case the stencil gets wiped off. But because I let the stencil dry so long, it stays on pretty well even after you use green soap on it. You can see me moving my hand around a lot. What's going on here is that when you're tattooing, you want to have 3 points of contact to stretch the skin. So you usually have 2 fingers on your left hand or your non-dominant hand, and then using the palm of your hand to kind of pull the skin in 3 different directions to get a really tight skin. And of course, I'm tattooing on my left hand, so I can't tighten the skin. So I'm having to find angles that really work for pushing the needle in, even though the skin isn't really that taut. So it's taking a little bit longer than this maybe would take if I was doing it on another person and had all my hands available. I'm just getting finished up with the outline here, and now I'm starting into the shading. So I just did a wipe. There it goes, and then I reapply my lubricant, which I use hustle butter. And big apologies for the just blown out light. It's this is my first time. I'm still learning. So yeah, I'm filling in, and this piece is creating value through sort of like lines, not a lot of stippling and not a lot of no gray wash. So typically if I wanted to do maybe a gray wash, I would mix my sterilized water and some black ink, and that would create a gray wash. And you can also just get gray wash. And so it's a little more precise here because I'm laying down dots in a line rather than just filling in areas with value. And you can see the stencil on the right over there is just an outline. It doesn't actually have the value. The image is on my screen in front of me that you can't see, obviously. So there's a lot more value in the piece, but I outlined the original artwork so that I could just make a stencil. And yeah, you can see the shading is coming along. All right, so I'm going to actually switch to a regular speed. And I just want you to hear the sound here. So you hear that like clicking? that's the needle actually pulling out of the skin, and that's how I know that I'm getting a good poke. Alright, so I'm about to finish up, and what I'm going to do is wipe off the surface, and then I'm going to switch out of my kind of contaminated gloves that might have blood on them and get into cleanup mode. I'm cutting out a piece of saniderm here, and I'm going to apply it to my skin. Just peel that off, stick it on, peel the back off, and now I have a little bandage. I think it's very important. I use it like a 3-phase. I have sort of the setup phase where I'm wearing gloves and putting those on. Then I have the actual doing the work phase, and then I take my gloves off, and then I have a cleanup phase where I usually put gloves on, but because it's just me, I was being a little lazy. But there you have it. That's my tattooing process. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you want any more content like this, just let me know, and I'll try and make it for you. All right, thanks for watching.